Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show tonight. Tonight's guest, we have Oscar Pena. He's a young man that's graduated from San Francisco State with a degree, and he now works in the community. He does work with youngsters. He's doing fantastic work. We love him. So we want to bring on Oscar Pena, and welcome to the show, my brother.
Thank you. Exactly. Appreciate
yes.
that.
Yeah, this is your second time on the show.
Second, yes.
Yeah.
Seems like it was yesterday.
Yeah, just like it was yesterday. Yeah. The last time you was on the show, you had just graduated, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're in the community now. You're doing work in the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I'm in the community.
So you're a case manager now.
Yep. Senior case manager.
Senior case manager. Great. That's good, man. We need people like you in the communities, in the trenches, so to speak, doing the work, because we got a lot of youngsters that's lost. They got it confused. And being that you came up in the neighborhood, you know what it is. So the perfect candidate was chosen to go back in the trenches and do the work. So yeah.
I hope to think so.
Yeah. So actually, what do you do?
So alhamdulillah, all praise be to Allah. Alhamdulillah, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon Muhammad. Astaghfirullah, I seek refuge in any evil from Allah. And so, reason why I start off with that, because I always like to open up with the guidance of good words and wisdom that Allah gives us. And again, whatever choice of faith anybody has, I think we all try to reconnect in the line of work and the upbringing we do. And so for me, the work that I'm doing is definitely a connection that Allah gave me to go back into the trenches. Now, I grew up in the Mission District around a lot of gangs, in and out of that system, around drugs, poverty, police harassment. I mean, the system was just is chaotic. Mm-hmm. And so understanding that dynamic and understanding how my parents came to this country, it was very hard for them to understand what resources and services were out there for themselves and for our family who were undocumented at the moment. Now, alhamdulillah, they're citizens. But now that they're citizens, I mean, it's still hard to navigate things in this country. So one of the things that you mentioned, yes, I absolutely agree that our youth is very, they're going through a lot of challenges. Mm-hmm. Because one, we have to understand the dynamics of what's happening in the homes. We have to understand the dynamics of what's happening in their neighborhoods, the dynamics of what's going on in the schools, and then how they're being filtered into this criminal justice system that can take them on to a whole spiral, like, one dries clothes or wash clothes in the laundry. And so as the system is going into a chaotic spiral, they get spit out and they come back home, then they'll probably, the recidivism rate is so high that they go back in at a higher alarming rate, and no services are being provided. One of the unique things that I see San Francisco has is that we're saturated with services and resources and grants, proposals. I mean, you name it, we're saturated in this own city. And so there's a new collaborative, new services are being provided as there's talk about shutting down juvenile hall. Yes, there is a set date to shut down juvenile hall, which is December 31st, 2021. And so what the mayor is doing is, Mayor Breed, is she's creating these consultants and groups and committees and trying to figure out what does that plan look like. And for the meantime, what they're doing is they're bringing in the community to kind of help and bring in services and healing some of the wounds that many of our youth are going through. So one of the programs that I'm with, it's new, relatively new. So my site is at Hunters Point Family. It's in the Bayview District, one of the neighborhoods that have been very, I would say, impacted from the gentrification, but also lack of resources. Mm-hmm. And so Hunters Point Family has tons of services that they provide to the Bayview District. One of the new programs that they just picked up is called Reset Justice Collaborative, RJC. And it's 5 agencies working together. So we have Hunters Point Family, we have Chalk, We have the Samoan Community Development Center. We have Horizons and Five Keys. All five of us make up the Reset Justice Collaborative, and we're just providing tons of intensive case management. We help them even if they're incarcerated, and if they have a set day coming home, we can provide services for them while they're in custody. Any kind of case we take, if they just picked up a case or they're on probation, we can work with them. We provide referrals to mental health, for educational, for employment. We have career coaches. We have workshops that we also have that we'll pay our participants to participate in. And basically, we all base on this on risk assessments that we do. And then based on that assessment, then we can see what level that person's at. Then we can be able to say, okay, this person needs these type of services, right? But we're also here to collaborate with other agencies if they are working with an individual. I know sometimes it's all about the funds, but yeah.
Let me ask you a question. The organization you work for, is this organization for seniors or for youth?
So this is for the ages of from 14 to 24. So we're working with juveniles and we're working with young adults. So now there's an acronym for them, TAYA now. So
Right.
TAYA, which is Transitional Age Youth Adults.
Okay.
They just added the A at the end of TAY recently. And so this is the population we are working with now.
Okay. Well, that's good. You get them before they get too far gone. And
Yeah.
bring them back.
Yeah, I
So-
mean it's tough when you're living in a city. When I talked about the elements that they're living with, the the homes, single parents, the neighborhoods they live in is low poverty, high crime rates, and then there's that distance of police officers in the community, and so we're here to kind of just provide opportunity and hope, and let them know that there are people out there that care. This type of job requires people who really have a passion, and I see some people, they'll get in it for a paycheck, they won't last that long. You
Right,
really
right,
have to have a
right.
passion to work with this type of population.
Well, the work you do is very, very, very stressful.
It
Very
is.
stressful work. A lot of people do the work and they burn out.
They do.
burn out real quick because you're dealing with all different kind of personalities. You don't know what you come to work with or for the next day. Sometimes you take the stuff home with you. So yeah, I know.
I'm trying to learn how to turn off that work mode when I'm with my family, my
Yeah,
wife, my son, and
Yeah,
I try to enjoy the moment. But you're right. It's it could take a toll on an individual,
sure.
and you got to know how to balance it. So most of the part I do do a lot of self-care, and that's where I start off with my state sayings of the religion that we say, because for me, religion and way of life is very connected to what I'm doing. If I don't take care of myself, then I can't continue to provide
Right,
services,
exactly.
and I get burnt out.
Exactly. Yeah, we have to take care of self first. I do a lot of talking about self-care. Because the line of work that I do, I work with seniors, and I talk about self-care, but I don't do it myself.
Right.
I'm running constantly doing things, but I don't do it myself. So I got to take time for that.
Yeah, we have to.
I take time for that.
And you still look young by doing that.
Well,
Even all the stuff you went through.
Yeah. But yeah, it's rough. But like I say, things happen for a reason. Everything
Right.
in creation happens for a reason.
Right.
And God don't make mistakes, and nothing that's done. So whatever happened with myself or with you, with everybody, anybody else, it happens for a reason.
Right.
I call it crossing the street.
That's right.
Sometimes you get on one side of the street and you don't know how to cross the street. So you have to have a lesson and you have to have help to get across the street.
That's
so
right.
I was helped across the street, so I'm on the other side now looking back.
Right, and I think that's where we have to look at the holistic picture. Is many of us will get these opportunities to be able to get a degree or an opportunity in finance. Some money might come along someone's life's journey path, and yeah, I understand people would try to live a better life somewhere else, whether that means moving to another city, another state, another country. But my perspective is that, okay, all these opportunities that have been given to me, such as like me going back to school. I mean, I never thought I would be in college. Again, I was caught up in the streets. I didn't care anything much about going back and educate myself.
Right.
But I put myself through that regiment of going to college, getting my 3 8 degrees, my undergraduates, And then now I'm working on my master's, which is I'm only one class away, which I'm right now I'm doing my thesis, which is researching the effectiveness of how to dismantle the prison to pipeline, school to prison pipeline, and soon to go for my doctor. But I mention that because I'm going back. I'm not escaping the povertyness or where I came from. I'm going back into the neighborhoods that have been still being effective and impacted, and I want to help that out. I want to help our people out.
Right.
So, similar to what you're doing.
Right. Well, that's what we have to do. We have to see. A lot of people come from incarceration. Myself, they come home. They get what they need while they're in prison. I say a tool bag. Get all the tools they need in the tool bag before they come home, and they come home with the tool bag full to better their life,
Right.
for the rest of their life, right? Well, when they come home, they say, "Okay, I got mine. I'm done. I don't need to help anybody else."
Right.
That's so far from the truth. You got a tool bag, but your tool bag is to assist those that you left behind. You're never supposed to forget where you come from, because you might have to go back.
Right.
You have to always come back and help the ones that's less fortunate, and that's what we do today.
Yeah, and to add to that, I don't look at people's intentions. I mean, intention is a big role, right? What is our intention of the things that we do in life? Such as what was the intention of going to work? Is it merely just for a paycheck, or is it beyond that? I mean, of course, piece of it is that we get that money to pay our rents and bills and everything, but there's something bigger. There's that purpose that we have to define for ourselves. What is our purpose in life? What is my purpose of this job that I got and landed? Is it merely just for temporarily, or for me to probably actually grow and go into something else? And so this job literally landed on my lap. And I say that literally because I wasn't really looking for a full-time job again. I was focusing on my school. But God picks and chooses, right, whom he wants his soldiers to do that real work and be able to connect. So that's part of my job. But outside of my job, I mean, I have a wife, a wonderful wife, Melanie Cruz. My son Ismael Pena, he's 9 years old. I'm on top of him, making sure that he's growing with a good family structure, and he's doing very well, and I reward him of all the things that he does. So all the things that I practice and all the things that I'm doing in the community, I'm actually have that experiment in my own home with my own son, and be able to, that's like a 24/7 job.
Yeah, he's a little soldier.
He's a little soldier, man, and he keeps me on my toes, But and then on top of that, I'm volunteering in the prisons.
Right.
Like at San Quentin Prison, I have a class that I do with the Muslim chaplain. So I'm in 5 different prisons: Solano, Susanville, Soledad, Vacaville. I mean, I'm all over the place. Plus, I'm at YA, which is up in Stockton. And this is outside of my realm of work. This is my volunteer. So for me, with my free time, I try to stay productive, to making sure, again, that's connecting me to my faith, that self-balance, because we got to help folks in all different aspects. But that brings a type of humbleness and appreciative. I'm grateful for everything I have, and that's why I have to give back.
Right. Well, we have in religion, that we have a test that we go through every day. We tested every day. Would you pass the test? And then we have what's one of your favorite of your Lord would you deny?
Correct.
And we plan, but he's the best of planners.
Yes.
He sets up everything that way that it should be set up for us. And our thing is just to be obedient and accept it. That's what you've done.
Man, who would have thought? How many years you did in prison?
27 years and 9 months.
And then now you're doing this?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
who was the best planner of that?
Exactly. It's follow directions, follow my directions, and things will go all right. So we just have to do the right thing now. It's real easy to do right, but it's real hard to do wrong.
And so that's the key, Ron. I'm glad you brought that up, because my master's is in education with the emphasis of equity and social justice. And so through that lens of perspective, what we do in our programs, we understand the whole public school system. It's just like any other system. It's designed to do its work, right? So when we talk about schools are failing, they're not failing. They've been designed to do that and to internalize, right? So individuals internalize failure, right? That I'm not studying hard enough, or I don't get it, I'm just dumb, or I'm never going to understand it. it's been literally purposely designed
Right.
like that to
Right.
funnel us into the labor workforce,
Mhm.
right? And so this is the things that we study, and so understanding also from that lens, the home, the environment, the school, the justice system.
Mhm.
Then we look at the equity issue. The equity is the needs of the individual. Now, we can't say equality because those two words are interchangeable. People use equity and equality very interchangeable, which they totally mean something different.
Mhm.
We can't look at individuals all equally, right? Because everyone has a different need.
Right.
And so we have to address their needs accordingly. And that's what we do in our program. That's what we do in the community. We look at the individual, we base that risk assessment. We look at, okay, this individual is different from that individual. Even though they might be having the same case, but there's different dynamics going on. I mean, I'll give you an example. I had a youth that came to our program, and he was on the run for 4 months. And the parent didn't know what to do. And from there, I intervened immediately. I connected with the youth, the parents, the probation officer, the attorney, the school. I mean, everybody that was involved in this young man's life. I intervened and connected all the dots and said, okay, what's the best outcome for this young man? Well, the best outcome right now was just for him to turn himself in and to start fresh.
Mm-hmm.
But he had to build that trust. And here I am, brand new. He's brand new to me. We don't know each other, but I made that connection. Met with the young man, sat down, understanding he was going through some challenges in his life, right? I mean, he had some family dynamics. And so from there, I met with him 2-3 days later. He makes the decision to turn himself in. From there, that day, he turns himself in. The very next day, he goes to court, and because of my relationship with the family and the probation officers and attorneys, that young man gets released back home the next day. They say, "Here you go."
Right.
Oscar. Continue to. But really, that's just how God plans. A lot of plans that, like you said. I mean,
Yeah.
I would never imagine that would have been happening, or these. To me, that's a successful story. Even
Sure
though
it
we
is.
want him to get
Definitely
off
it is.
probation,
Sure it is.
but there it is.
Sure it is. Sure it is. But see, but the work that you do, so you go into the courts now. You on the side of the court where the judge call you
Yeah.
Mister. Okay, Mr. Pena, right? Instead of being that young man sitting on the side of a lawyer or a probation officer.
Right.
Right. So you have the respect from a judge for the judge to release him to you and say you work with him now. It's your job.
That's part of my job is
Right.
advocating for them in the
Right.
court, right? But also educating them, because the courtroom system could be where somebody can get lost in the
Sure,
language and not
sure.
understanding what's happening.
Sure.
And we're talking about people's lives, so that's part of the other key component we try to ingrain in with our participants to understand language. To whenever you come across a word you don't understand, we have to practice and get in the habit of picking up these dictionaries like Malcolm X did.
Right.
And
Exactly.
any language, whether it be in English, Arabic,
Right.
Spanish.
Whatever language it
So,
is.
and that's what I do with my son. I say, okay, did you know what that word means? Let's look it up. And even for myself, I'm still learning new words.
Right.
And we have to familiarize ourselves with kind of language and what does that mean? Because people know how to use certain words in code. And if you don't catch on, then you're pleading to something that you don't even know. But
Exactly.
you're just nodding your head like, okay, just want to get out of that situation.
Exactly. Yeah. The work is to be done. The work is to be done. It does not stop.
It's some serious
It does
work.
not stop. We have people coming home from incarceration at large numbers now.
Yeah.
Large number now. I had a
Big
meeting.
numbers.
I had a meeting with parole a couple weeks ago, and it was saying that we have no place to send them coming home. People that's been in prison for long periods of time, they're self paroling because they have nowhere to go. They write letters to the board of prison interns, and they get after so many letters, so many years.
Right.
People get tired of writing letters, so they have nowhere to go. They have no family. Family died off, whatever. So they have nowhere to go. So we have to make it suitable for when they come home. They have a smooth transition back into the community. Right now, the population in San Francisco is dying real fast. We're less than 3% right now in San Francisco. That's what the rate of color is in San Francisco now. Less than 3%.
Yeah, I heard about that. Like in the Bayview
Yeah,
district,
yeah.
it went down from the population of blacks, African Americans was about almost 60, 80%, something like that. And now it's way down.
No, like
It's,
I say, less than
yeah,
3% now, because they, the family dies off, the mother and father dies
yeah,
off, the children get the house and they sell it for a little nothing, and they move out and they can't come back. So, this population is in trouble, and we're trying to mend it, not put a band-aid on it. We want to mend it all the way up so we can,
right,
stop the moving out and not being able to come back and visit, but you got to leave when you after the visit over with. So we're trying to stop that. I work with the seniors,
right.
the babies, senior
You do a
services.
couple of things, huh?
Yeah, I'm doing a
Got
couple.
the,
I
you
work
got the
with
transitional home now.
I just opened a transition house
That's right.
in Fairfield. I'm going for my second one, and so the work is being done because we have to put work in. We can't just come home and just stop.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, housing is a big crisis in the state of California,
Sure.
as we all know. I mean, there's camping, setups everywhere through San Francisco, Oakland. I mean,
Encampments,
it's getting really bad to where there's much drugs involved. There's syringes all over the streets. The unsanitation of these areas, and then amongst all of that, I'm seeing a lot of young kids,
kids,
also living
yes, on the
amongst
streets.
in those tents.
On the streets, yeah.
And it's kind of sad when we look at how the city and the state looks at it as if it's not much of a crisis. I understand they're talking about it. I understand it's politics, it's a process,
Yeah,
but it's like
but you talk. See, talk
Yeah.
is cheap. When you just talk and you jaw jack and you talk and talk and talk and you got all this money, you just talk and talk and talk. Then you leave office and somebody else come in and the constantly talk, and the money is still there, not being spent to resolve the problem. Spend the money
Right.
to resolve the problem.
Right.
You got space where you can have homeless homes where they can live in the city they was born in, and they have to leave the city that they was born in. They have to leave here, and that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I was born here in San Francisco,
Correct.
and then you have to leave and you come back to visit, and when the visit is over, you got to leave again. Crazy, out of control.
That's wild. So that's some of the things that the dynamics that we're dealing with. You're right. The many of our fellow citizens are coming back home and providing enough services. I mean, some of the work that Hunters Point Family does in conjunction with Urban Alchemy, they provide some um, employment opportunities for the people who are coming home, returning citizens, we like to call them, and just provide them an opportunity to build on their resume, some work experience,
Right,
and be able to
right.
get that. But now that's opening up to more of the public in the city of San Francisco. There are more increases of employment happening, opportunities, but again, it's never enough. But at the same time, what I also am seeing is there's this funnel of having our people, and when I say our people, black and brown, African Americans and Latinos, they're being funneled into continuous labor work, right? Cleaning the streets, picking up syringes,
Right.
monitoring bathrooms. I mean, that's all and great. But we have to really critically look at things and be like, hold on, I'm more than just having to pick up
Sure.
some trash.
Sure.
And that's something we have to reconnect back to our ancestors, our history. We have always been intelligent.
Sure.
We have been people who've produced much and contributing to society. Why are we being stopped? Why are we looking at ourselves any lesser than that? And that's why when I look at that and I think about that, that's what motivates me to continue on to my education. I have to, not that I have to prove anything to anybody, but I have to reconnect myself. I know I'm more than this. We are intelligent. I mean, we look at Africa,
Sure. Yeah.
right? We look at the universities that existed in Mali, like Sankore.
Right.
When I looked and I studied that recently, it was a university that you really had to up your studies in order to enter into this university. And you would be there for years and years and years. Astronomy, astrology, economics, medicine, everything was flourishing from these universities. Same thing in Andalusia when the Muslims took over Spain and had over 700 years, much sciences came out of
Sure.
that. I went to the California Academy of Science 2 days ago, and it's done. I was just dwelling on the name of the planets. It's been a minute since I've started reflecting on this, but we look at the name of the planets. It's all Eurocentric, right? That we look at these are names that are named after Greek goddesses, as if no other civilization contributed to any of that sciences. And we have to re-educate ourselves.
Sure, sure. Mr. Penza, thank you. It was an honor to have you on my show again.
Thank you.
I started this show almost 4 years ago. Yeah, it's been almost 4 years.
That's
I started
bad.
this show, and I do it every Tuesday, and I do it because this is a show for returned citizens, right? People coming home from incarceration. I bring on a lot of different topics. We talk about a lot of things because we have to have something to give society that we are back, and we ain't going nowhere.
Right.
We're gonna make a difference in our community. Everybody that's come home from incarceration on my show has been successful. Not one person has gone back.
That's big.
Right, and I'm doing this almost 4 years, every Tuesday,
You're doing that
and
real
no
work.
one has gone back. Everybody's doing something in their community that's successful.
Well, that means that you're doing something good and connecting them and believing in them. Sometimes they need that.
Well, not just me. We're doing something different.
Right.
We're doing something to better, us, because I'm part of the cloth.
That's right.
Right. So I don't forget where I come from because I might have to go
Right.
back.
Right. You're still here. You're
Yeah,
still here.
yeah.
I appreciate everything
Yeah.
you're doing. I appreciate the show that you're hosting and you've been consistent with it. And I think that's one of the keys to anything that we're doing in life is to be consistent. Whatever it is that you're going to do it small, take small steps, be
Right.
consistent. Don't take big steps and try to, outdo or outshine other people. Just take your time, be patient. Opportunities will be there.
Sure.
And you'll continue to grow and you'll see ourselves, we are developing. We're
Sure.
developing into real men,
Yes.
that's doing the work of real human beings.
Right.
So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you again.
Thank
You
you.
know,
Thank
Tell
you.
her,
And-
tell her, send my respect to that little dude, little Oscar.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Louis
yeah,
Mayo.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, I will.
No,
I will.
I appreciate you coming on. Thank you for coming on. and
Alhamdulillah,
we're going to
man.
bring you
Thank
back again.
Inshallah.
Yes,
Inshallah.
yes.
Jazakallah khair.
So,
Assalamu
ladies and
alaikum
gentlemen,
wa
welcome this gentleman to the show this evening. We want to be able to watch him whenever you want to. You can come on and look at this in all my interviews on YouTube and select whatever you want to watch, when you want to watch it, how long you want to watch it on YouTube. Go on and type in the Wendell Elamine James Show, and all my interviews will come up. If there's anything that you can send me to enhance our show to make it better, call the studio and let me know what it is. But you can look at the show every Saturday night on Channel 29 at 7 o'clock. Every Saturday night, Channel 29 at 7 o'clock. Wendell Elamine James. Thank you for watching the show.
Can I
good
show
night.
my little flyer?
Yeah, we want to. Yeah, before ending,
Before
we want
ending,
to.
show
We want to show
that
Mr.
that's my
Penza's
little
flyer.
yeah.
All right, there you go.
So any services out there anybody need, my name, number, email, it's all right there. Our
I don't
organization.
know. Let's see. Okay. There you go.
There we go. Appreciate that.
Give him a shout out. Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you, Mr. Penza. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Good night.